Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I have two very special guests with me today. Tucker. Hello, Mr. Tucker. And I have Boo Radley over there. Hello, Mr. Boo Radley. I have a little song that I sing to Boo. It goes like this. Are you ready, Boo? Are you ready, Boo Boo? Boo! You ready? It goes like this. I love my Boo Radley. He is so sweet to me. I sing it like 500 times around the house as I'm walking around the house. Do you guys make up little songs for your dogs? Okay. And we have songs too, don't we, Tucker? All right, so today I'm going to read one of these. Let's see. One, two. How many books do I have? Tucker, are you going to help me pick it out again? He said, well, I might if you want me to. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books right here. Which one should I read? You pick it out. Okay, he picked the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Do you want to pick another book out? Here, you pick another book out. He puts his nose right on the book that he wants me to read. Hold on a second, I get him all ready. You pick it out. Which one again? He did Healing After Loss. You want to pick another one in case we have 3 that we should read? Boo Radley, you want to pick one? Do you want to do another one? He's looking at me like I'm crazy. Pick one. You don't want to? You said only 2 because you're hungry. Okay, we're gonna do just 2 today. Are you guys ready? So, the first one that we are gonna read, let's do Healing After Loss, Daily Meditations for Working Through Grief by Martha Whitmore Hickman. Okay, February 10th, let's go. You wanna hear what it has to say? Okay. In the midst of winter, I discovered that there was in me an invincible summer, Albert Camus. It surprises us. We know it's a fluke. We know it won't last. Happiness, contentment, joy. And not just a quick flash of joy, of contentment, as when we are lifted up on wings of song, or by prayer, or by a spectacular sky, or because of a daisy blooming in some field, but a sense that in some way, this book is so beautifully written, I think, but a sense that in some way we are going to be able, after all this, to be happy. Whoever would have thought it? That assurance, too, may slip away, but it will come back. Perhaps each time it will seem less like an astonishing stranger, someone come to visit us in disguise. No, it is real. This extended daylight, this another word, this, I don't know what it is, this fecundity, this extended daylight, this warmth, this beauty of a summer evening. Even in the wintry distress of our pain, we will believe in summer. Summer has its storms too, but they will pass. Maybe they will clear the air and bring the world fresh and clean to our attention once more. It is life calling to us. See, you are mine. I have wonders in store for you, believe it or not. And I will wait for you, beneath the snow if necessary, and beyond the storm. In the midst of winter, I will entertain the possibility that summer will come. It's such an interesting meditation. Can I just show you Boo Radley? He is so funny. Look at him. I love my Boo Radley. He is so sweet to me. Boo. What are you doing, Boo? He said, don't worry about me. But I won't put him in the video right there. One of my favorite things, honestly, is, and I know that the camera is kind of crooked right now, but one of my favorite things is that I have pee-pee in so many videos that I can go back in the vlogs and I can, watch him in these videos. And I thought you guys could see Tucker. It's so funny because he's like sitting like he's like looking at everything that I'm doing. Can you see? Hello? Hello? How are you? He said, well, I'm bored. So anyway, all of the vlogs that I have PP in and all the videos that I have in them, I'm so thankful for that. So I like to have the dogs in as many videos as I can. We're waiting for our bark box, aren't we? We want to get our bark box to review. I think this idea of not just, being in winter and being dark and cold and all that and waiting for summer and spring. I love, it's funny because I would never typically say that spring is one of my favorite seasons, but every time of year around this time, like yesterday we had a bunch of snow. I love snow, you guys know that. But then it rained all night and it was rainy and it was cold and it was slush and it was gross, right? And like today I was outside, I was taking the dogs outside and the birds are chirping and I'm like, is it almost spring? Like, are we gonna have a really early spring this year? And I love spring. I love, when you go outside and it's like the other day it was, like sometime last week it was like 68 degrees. I love all that. But I think this is talking more about when you're going through really tough times and you're grieving, that there will be happy times again, and welcoming those times when they come. I think often we feel bad when we're grieving that if we have a happy moment or if we laugh or if, we're like having a good time, that we almost feel like we're betraying the person that has passed. I don't know if you've ever felt like that before, but it's like, I can remember feeling that way with my mom, you know, that like, if I was having a good time, I would catch myself and be like, you know, like I should be grieving. I should be sad that my mom is gone. But, you know, in reality, I truly think that the people that have passed would want us to live our lives. I mean, maybe not like walking out of the hospital telling jokes. I mean, maybe that's not the time, you know what I mean? But I think that they would want us to go on and have good times. I know a lot of people that really don't allow themselves to continue to go on and live because they feel like if they do, then they're betraying the person that has passed. And that's just not the case, you know? I think we all have to allow ourselves to go on, and they're now fighting for who gets to sit on my lap. I think that we all have to go on and allow ourselves that time. You know, we have to allow ourselves the ability to go on and have good times again. I mean, don't we want that? You know, I know that, like, my mom used to say to me, you know, like, I've had an amazing life. You know, like, I want you to have a good life, too. Like, you deserve it. Like, I had my time in my 30s and my 40s, you know? And it was funny because Alex and I went and saw that movie Up. And it was at a time when I was kind of, like, looking for a sign, so to speak, you know? And so in that movie, if you don't know the movie, it's about this guy, and he goes and puts all these balloons on his house, and then he travels around the world. But before that, he's going through this scrapbook. I think it's before that. He's going through this scrapbook from he and his wife wife has passed away. And he's looking through all these pictures of all of their times together. And at the very end, it says, she's written in there, thank you for the adventure. Now go have an adventure of your own. And it felt like such a sign from my mom. Like, go and live your life. Enjoy your life, you know? And, I mean, the reality is we each only have one life. I'm not going to feel bad about having good times and continuing to go on. That doesn't mean that you act disrespectful. That doesn't mean that you act, you know, like that you're inappropriate and you laugh at a funeral. But I think that and maybe there's even a time to laugh at a funeral. Who knows? If somebody's doing a eulogy and it's funny, okay, then that's an appropriate time to laugh, you know? I don't think we have to be like all morose and maudlin all the time. I don't, you know? Like, I think that we have to keep on living, and it's not a betrayal, you know? And it's like, I think with people that don't allow themselves to move on, they feel like if I do, then I've like forgotten this person, and that's just not the case. It just isn't, you know. And that's the whole idea of moving through the grieving process, like I said the other day, from the woman that gave me the book. You know, she was the one that taught me that, you know, that we move through, we don't move on, and we carry the remnants and the memories of those people with us, you know. And that's why I like to talk and tell memories a lot. Like on my vlog, I'm always telling stories about my mom and my aunt and everybody, you know, because I like to tell those stories because it reminds me, you know. So that was a great meditation. I think we have to not fear the happy times, and we have to be willing to allow ourselves to have happy times. Okay, you hear Tucker running around. Let's pick a meditation out. Okay, which one is this? Let's pick another one. Let's pick another one. Okay, this is a good one. Breathe before you speak. You stopped right on that one, didn't you, bud? He's so excited. Okay. Breathe. Can I have a kiss? Thank you, buddy. Okay. Breathe before you speak. This simple strategy has had remarkable results for virtually everyone I know who has tried it. The almost immediate results include increased patience, added perspective, and, as a side benefit, more gratitude and respect from others. The strategy itself is remarkably simple. It involves nothing more than pausing, breathing, after the person to whom you are speaking is finished. At first, the time gap between your voices may seem like an eternity, but in reality, it amounts to only a fraction of a second of actual time. You will get used to the power and beauty of breathing, and you will come to appreciate it as well. It will bring you closer to and earn you more respect from virtually everyone you come in contact with. You'll find that being listened to is one of the rarest and most treasured gifts you can offer. I thought it says listening, but it says being listened to. All it takes is intention and practice. If you observe the conversations around you, you'll notice. Oh, this is a long one. That often, you will notice that often what many of us do is simply wait for our chance to speak. We're not really listening to the other person, but simply waiting for an opening to express our own view. We often complete other people's sentences or say things like, yeah, or I know, very rapidly, arguing them to hurry up so that we can have our turn. It seems that talking to one another is sometimes more like sparring back and forth like fighters or ping pong balls than it is enjoying or learning from the conversation. This harried form of communication encourages us to criticize points of view, overreact, misinterpret meaning, This is so true. Impute false motives and form opinions, all before our fellow communicator is even finished speaking. No wonder we are so often annoyed, bothered, and irritated with one another. Sometimes with our poor listening skills, it's a miracle that we have any friends at all. I spent most of my life waiting for my turn to speak. If you're at all like me, you'll be pleasantly amazed at the softer reactions and looks of surprise as you let others completely finish their thought before you begin yours. Often you will be allowing someone to feel listened to for the very first time. You will sense a feeling of relief coming from the person to whom you are speaking, and a much calmer, less rushed feeling between the two of you. No need to worry that you won't get your turn to speak. You will. In fact, it will be more rewarding to speak because the person you are speaking to will pick up on your respect and patience and will begin to do the same. Wow. Okay, one of my hugest, biggest character defects is talking over people and interrupting people. And it's just, it's if you've ever watched one of my interviews that I did or, sat down with people on YouTube, it's like one of the biggest criticisms I get in the comment sections is that I don't let people speak. It's not just in videos, it's in my real life as well. And it's been something that I've really, really worked hard on in the last year and a half. And one of the things that I've learned, like it's interesting, like driving around with my friend Tanya, because we talk over each other a lot. My friend Melissa and I do the same thing. What's interesting is like last night Tanya was telling me some things, and because we watched the Academy Awards together, and I was sitting there and I was listening to her, and at the end of it, like as I was listening to her, I was thinking like, typically I would interrupt and I would say certain things, right? But I was kind of saving it till the end. And then when she got to the end of all the things that she was saying, like 15, 20 minutes later, what I realized was I didn't really need to say anything. Like, my opinion doesn't always matter, The things that I have to, sometimes it does. Sometimes I feel like I need to be heard. Other times it just isn't that important. Other times it's just like, hey, like let that other person speak and tell their piece. I don't always need to have my 2 cents be heard, not always. And I think that it's been a really, really valuable learning experience for me. Especially when I hear people now say, like, you're a great listener and whatever. I mean, I've always kind of been told that in my life, but I'm always in my head. Like, for example, in 12-step meetings, I would sit at a meeting and I would waste 45 minutes thinking about what I was going to say in response to the topic and then not hear what 45 minutes of people were saying. I don't do that anymore. Like, that was one of the biggest mistakes I made. And when I came back in to the rooms of 12-step programs several years ago, I made that decision that I was going to sit there and I was going to be attentive to each person that was speaking. I'm never on my phone in a meeting. I don't go to the bathroom during a meeting. I don't get up and go get a cup of coffee during the meeting. I sit there and I listen because I don't want to miss the possibility of there being some grace that I am supposed to hear. So I sit there and I listen and I pay attention. And then when it comes to me, half the time I don't even know what I'm saying. Like, it just comes out of my mouth and I'm like, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, That's ego and pride thinking that what I have to say is the most important thing in the room, and that's just not the case. That's pride and ego thinking that I have the most important thing to say when I'm sitting in a car with my best friend, and that's just not the case. Sometimes that person needs to be heard more than I do. Most of the time, that person needs to be heard more than I do. That's something that I learned in marriage counseling too. Like, that has like saved our marriage, that we allow the other person to speak and say, this is how I feel. I think often what happens is, like in an argument with your like partner or whatever, is like the one person will start talking and then before they even get all the way through their point, which you might not have any like response to it, right? You cut them off and you go, but that will, and then they respond to your, but will, and then you respond to their, but will, and this is where, but will, this is where I always talk about, like, if you listen to my vlog, that if you're in a relationship where you're arguing a lot, my husband and I, we rarely argue anymore. And if we do, like, we kind of get through it pretty quickly and listen to the other person. But back in the day, we argued a lot. And, one of the things that would happen is we would have an argument, and I say this a lot in my vlogs, I really believe this. We would have an argument, and at some point, we would stop having the argument, and the argument was having us. And what that meant was that it was just, we were overpowering each other. Like in the Celestine Prophecy, it talks a lot about this, like this need to control other people through communication. And I think it's an interesting idea, that you want to control somebody else, and it's like, no, I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to speak louder and faster than you and get my thought in. And it just doesn't matter, I have had, I think, more what's the word I'm looking for? Fulfilling conversations than any argument I've ever had with my husband. When we sit down for 5 minutes and he goes, let me tell you how I'm feeling about this. And I go, okay. And I sit there and I listen to him. And then he goes, do you have anything to say? And I think to myself and I say, sure. And then I respond and we sit there and listen to it. And then we've both heard the other person. We've heard the other person, right? Like, there's not, and then I'll say, okay, well, let me work on this. And he'll say, and I'll work on this. That's it. It's so nice, you know? It doesn't have to be a 4-hour argument where you're pissed and wanting to drive away and whatever, you know? So I think that for all of us, I think it's a really valuable point. You know, and I think one of the most important lessons I've ever learned is that I gotta put pride and ego to the side, right? My opinion, my voice, what I have to say is not always the most important thing. And I gotta check myself constantly about that, right? You gotta allow other people to shine and have their moment. I like to talk. I'm a talker. I wanna say things. I wanna have a conversation. But sometimes having a conversation means just shutting up and listening. So anyway, let me know what you think about those meditations. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.